Today we're learning to solve simultaneous equations algebraically, but we're doing it by substitution this time. And we're looking at some of the more complicated questions that we might get faced with. The first one's not too complicated, but the others involve a small amount of fraction work, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. Just as a reminder, I'm going to do this first question on how we go forward. So remember what I was saying, get one or both of the equations into the form of y equals. So I'm going to choose this one over here, okay? So what I'll do is I'll take 6x away from that side. I'll do the same to the right. I'm going to add 32 on, and I'll add 32 on to the right of the equal sign. What that does, eliminates these things here and leaves me with that over on the right hand side. So y is now equal to negative 6x plus 32. And remember now what we're going to do is we're going to replace y in this equation here, y there, with this part of the equation, because y equals negative 6x plus 32. I'm going to substitute it into there. So substitute y equals negative 6x plus 32 into, and I'm going to call that equation number 1 there, that one there equation number 2. So there's equation 1. That starts off as 5x minus y equals 12. I'm putting that in there instead of y. So I've got 5x, I've got a minus sign. Got to be careful of that. When I substitute into y, I'm going to substitute all of that in. I'm going to put it into a protected bracket at the moment, so that when I multiply it out, I'm going to get the right values that are going to come out of that. Right, so first of all, I'm going to multiply the bracket out. So a negative times a negative, that will make a positive, and that will be 6x. And remember, outside the bracket, it's like a negative 1 that's sitting there. And negative 1 times 32, that will be a negative 32. And that's going to be equal to 12. What I'll then do is I'll gather the x's on the left-hand side. So I've got 11x here. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to add 32 to this side, eliminates that, add 32 to that side, and what we're left with is that's going to be 44. So 11 and 44, well, that works out quite nicely. I'll divide that side by 11, divide that side by 11, eliminates that, leaves me with x is equal to 4. So that's we got an x value that's come out of that already. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the x value that I've worked out into the other equation, into that one there, because it says y equals. That'll give me what y is equal to. So I'm going to substitute x is equal to 4 into, and I could write equation 2, but I'm going to just write it out here, into that form there, the one that I've already changed. Here we go, I'm going to put a 4 in here, so it's negative 6 times 4 plus 32. So that'll give me that there. And then it'll give me a y equals value. So y is going to be equal to a positive 8. Okay, so in the question, it's asked me to solve. I'm going to solve these simultaneous equations. So I'm just going to write a solution at the end. So the solution is x is equal to, and x is equal to 4, and y is equal to, well, I've got a y equals 8 here. Y equals 8. Don't need to write it in coordinates, I've not been asked to, but if I have, I'll go and do that and write it in coordinates. So that's the process that we're going to follow, and we're going to work things through from there. Okay, so what I can always do, I'll just do it for this one, I think. I'm going to do a quick check. I'm going to check and make sure I've got the correct answer. Because I've used this equation here, this one over here, to work out what y is, I'm going to substitute into that equation there. So I've got 5x minus y equals 12. So if I substitute my x and my y value in, I'm hoping that this left-hand side equals 12. If it does, I've got it right. So it's going to be 5 times 4, take away 8. Okay, so 5 4 is 20. Good, that's looking good there. So I know that before I leave the exam hall, I've got the answer correct. So I've done a check on it. Right, if I got it wrong here, I would go back and check my working, because maybe I've made a simple mistake somewhere. Right, let's move on to the next question. So these will get gradually a bit more difficult, and we'll start using a bit of fractions. So change one of the equations to y equals. So I'm going for this one here. So I'm going to add x onto this side, okay, and I'm going to add on to x to that side there. That will get eliminated, and that will leave me with 3y is equal to x plus 1. Now I've got 3y there. I don't want 3y, so I'm going to divide both sides. I'm just putting a line across the full thing. Eliminates that, leaves me with y is equal to x plus 1 all over 3. And I'm going to use that format there to work out the x coordinate on the other. So I'm going to substitute that. Substitute the y equals x plus 1 all over 3 into my equation number 1. This one here is equation 1, and this one here is equation number 2. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting that there, okay, for y. So I'm substituting that into there, and I'll be multiplying it by 5. Let's have a look at that. So what I've got is I've got 5y plus 4x equals 13. So I'm going to substitute that in instead of y. So I've got 5, and I've got here, I've got x plus 1 all over 3. I've got a plus 4x still sitting there, and that equals 13. Now, for this part here, I'm not going to multiply this out right away. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to try and get rid of that 3, or the number that's on the denominator. So if I multiply both the left and the right hand side of the equal sign by 3, I should be able to eliminate that and get a flat equation. And a flat equation, I just mean there's no fractions in it. So I'm going to multiply this part here by 3. I'm going to multiply this here by 3. Because I've got to multiply everything on the left hand side by 3. And then on the right hand side, I'm multiplying that by 3 as well. So remember, the reason why I'm multiplying by 3 is so that I can cancel these 3's out there. So what I've got left, I'll just write this out in this way. Okay, so I've still got that to multiply out. 3 times 4x will give me 12x, and 3 times 13 will give me 39. Okay, so multiply the bracket out, and I'll just go ahead and solve things from there. Right, gather the values up, so that's going to be 17x, and what I'll do is I'll take 5 away from both sides, eliminates that, take 5 away from there, gives me 34. I'll then divide it by 17. And what I get there is x is going to be equal to, so x is equal to 2. 17 goes into 34 twice. Right, so from there, what we'll do is we'll work out our y coordinate and or our y value. And from there, I'm going to substitute the 2 into this equation here, the one that I've already created. So substitute x equals 2 into that y equals equation up at the top there. All over 3. Right, so putting my values in. So I've got a line that's there. The x is going to be 2, so it's going to be 2 plus 1 all over 3. So that's going to give me 3 over 3, which gives me an answer of 1. So I've got my x and I've got my y value that comes out there. Okay, so my answer is, so the solution is, so x is going to be equal to 2, and y is going to be equal to 1. Okay, so that's what we're doing for these questions here. This is the part here that I want you to pay attention to try to get rid of the fraction that's in that part of the equation. That's the way it will kind of generally work out. Let's do the next question. And we'll be following the same format as we work through them. Right, so get one of the equations into a y equals format. So I'm just going to pick on the second equation all the time. Equation 1, equation 2. So add 3x on, add 3x on. Eliminates that part, so I've got 4y is equal to 3x plus 5. I'll then divide everything by 4. The reason why I'm dividing by 4 eliminates that, leaves me with y equals 3x plus 5 all over 4. So getting a wee bit more complicated. I'm going to substitute that in here. So I'm substituting y equals 3x plus 5 all over 4 into equation number 1. If I'm going too quick, you can always just rerun the video if you need to do that. Right, so let's go for that. So equation 1 starts off with 5y plus 2x equals 12. That's going in there. Okay, so I've got 5 times 3x plus 5 all over 4 plus 2x equals 12. So if you can see here, to get rid of the fraction that's on the bottom, I'm going to multiply everything there by 4, yeah? So let's multiply this side here by 4, this part. I'm going to multiply this part here by 4. I'm going to multiply this number here by 4. When I multiply it all out, remember, the reason why I'm doing it is to cancel that bottom denominator of 4 out. And what I'm left with is 3x plus 5 plus, I've got to remember to multiply these, so that's going to be 8x. I've got to remember to multiply that. That'll be 48. Multiply the bracket out. And we'll gather up the x values. So that'll give me 23x. It's going to be equal to, I'm going to take 25 away from both sides. So that will eliminate that. 25 away from there leaves me with 23. Works out quite nice and neatly. If I divide by 23 both sides, that should give me x is equal to 1 that comes out there. Okay? So it just went off the page there, sorry about that. Right, let's move on and work out our y coordinate. So remember, I've got a formula up here that says y equals, so I'm going to use that. So I'm substituting x equals 1 into y equals 3x plus 5 all upon 4. And when I do that, I'm going to find out what y is equal to. So 1's going to go in here, so it's going to be 3 times 1 plus 5, add them together, divide it by 4. So that should give me 8 over 4, which gives me a y value of 2. So my solution, x is equal to 1, y is equal to 2. And that would be my answer. Okay, so they don't need to take too long. As long as you've got a format and a process for working these through, they don't take too long at all. Just got 2 more to do. You can freeze the video, try them. What I'll do is I'll just carry on and I'll work them through. Okay. Right, so first one. Here we go. Right, equation number 1 and equation number 2. What we're going to do is get it into y equals. So I'm going to add on 3x to both sides. That would give me an elimination here, leaves me with 4y is equal to, and that's going to be 3x plus 2. I'm then going to divide both sides by 4, and as you can see, what we've got left is 3x plus 2 all over 4. Remember what we're doing? Substituting this into where y is, because I've got y equals that, so that's going to be replaced. So I'm substitute y equals 3x plus 2 all over 4 into that equation number 1. And that started off as 5y plus 4x equals 18. So I'll substitute that in now. So I've got a 5 here. I've got 3x plus 2. Okay, that's instead of y. I've got plus 4x, and I've got it equals 18. Right, so the number that we're going to multiply by is going to be the denominator. So I'm multiplying both the left and the right-hand side of the equals. 2 things on the left-hand side, so I must multiply both of them by 4. I'll multiply this one by 4. And I'll multiply this by 4 as well. So I'm multiplying everything here by 4. Remember why we're doing it? It eliminates that 4 on the bottom that's there. And that will give me, I'm going to multiply this bracket out here just to save a line of working. So that'll give me 15x plus 10. Okay, because I've already eliminated the 4's. And 4 times 4 is 16x, that's there. And that's going to be 4 times that's going to give me 40, that's going to give me 72. 72 from there. And what I'll do is I'll then gather up the values together. So if I gather them together, the x's, I've got 31x is equal to, and I'll take 10 from each side, and that'll give me a 0 there when I eliminate that, and that'll give me a 62 on the right hand side. 62 and 31 work quite well together. Divide by 31. That leaves with x is equal to, and that will be a value of 2, because 62 divided by 31 is 2. Right, let's substitute in the x value into this equation here to find my y coordinate. Substitute x equals 2 into, and I'm just writing that equation down, all over 4. Okay, this will give me my y coordinate, so I've got a 2 that's going in here, so 3 times 2 plus 2 all over 4. Okay, that gives me 6. 6 plus 2 gives me 8, and that gives me an answer of 2. So my solution is x is equal to 2, and the y coordinate or the y value is going to be equal to 2 also. Okay, so I'm not needing to write it into coordinate form this time. I've just put in let's solve this pair of simultaneous equations. So I'm just solving for the letters that we have been given. Okay, last question that's here. Last one. Right, here we go. Maybe a wee bit more complicated this one here, but we're still following the same process. Right, so I'm going to get one of the equations into y equals. I'm going to pick on this guy here again. 1 and 2. So I'm going to take 2x away from both sides, and that should give me 5y is equal to, I'll say it's negative 2x plus 8. So that's eliminated, remember. Divide both sides by 5. Eliminates that, leaves me with y equals minus 2x plus 8 all over 5. And I'm going to leave it like that, remember, because I'm going to substitute that in where y is. So let's go for it. So let's see what we're substituting. Y is equal to minus 2x plus 8 all over 5. And that's going to be into my equation number 1, which starts off as 6y plus 3x equals 9. Okay. From there, what we'll do is get that in there. So I've got 6 times, and it's going to be negative 2x plus 8 all over 5. So we can see 5's on the bottom there, so that's going to be a number I'm going to use. Still got the plus 3x there, and an equals 9 at the end. So the number that we're going to multiply throughout by on the left and the right hand side is going to be 5. So I'll times this side by 5. I'm just putting that in a wee square bracket. I'll times this one by 5 as well. And I'll times this by 5 as well. So no matter how many things we've got, times everything by 5 and it removes the denominator. And that's why we're doing it. These two cancel out. Okay, and that leaves me with multiplying this bracket out now. I'm just going to do that. So that'll be minus 12x. 6 times 8 is going to be 48. Plus 3x equals 9. So let's see, I'm going to gather these values up here. So I've got minus 12x plus 3x is going to give me minus 9x. And what I'll do is I'll take 48 from this side, take 48 from that side there. That cancels out. So what that should leave me with is going to be, if I take the 48 away, what will that work out to be? So, right, so I hope you've picked up my mistake, because I've just made a mistake there. What I've got is, I can see it myself, so I've not multiplied these two out. And I should have done that, so I'm going to do that just now. So I'm going to repair that. So that's going to be a 15x that's there, okay? 15x, and I'm going to repair that, so it's 5 times the 9. 5 times 9 is going to be 45. Okay, so I've got 45 that's there. Well, glad I saw that there. Okay then. So I multiplied this bracket out okay, but now I've got to gather these up correctly. Okay, so that's going to be a plus 15, and that's going to give me 3x that's there. So I'm going to just change that into a nice rounded positive 3x. So if that's 3x there, and I subtracted 48 from this side, and I subtract 48 from the right hand side, I've got negative 3 there. So I divide both sides by 3, and that should give me x is equal to minus 1. Phew, glad I saw that and got that one worked out. Right, so from there, what we'll do is we'll then just work out our y coordinate, and I'm going to use this equation up here, just the same as what we've been doing, okay? So substitute the x equals negative 1 into, and the equation we're using is y is equal to minus 2x plus 8 all over 5. When I substitute the value in there, so I've got minus 2 times a minus 1, so be careful of that one. And that's all over 5. When I work that through, what I've got is that's going to be a positive value. 2 negatives multiplied will give me 2, and 2 plus 8 gives me 10. 10 over 5 will give me an answer of 2 for y. Okay, so my solution is x equals, and it's negative 1, and y equals 2. Okay, I'm just going to do a double check on that just to make sure that that's correct. So the check that I'm going to do is I'm going to be substituting the x and y values in to the other equation, the one I didn't use to work out what y was equal to. So there we go. So I'm going to substitute a negative 1 in here, so 6 times minus 1. 6 times 2 for y, plus 3 times minus 1, and I want that all to be equal to 9. So just rushing a wee bit to get the video finished just now. So 6 times 2 gives me 12, and that will be subtract 3, and if that equals 9, I know my solution is correct. Okay, and that's the way we work this through. So okay, so what we've got is we've got solving simultaneous equations by substitution. Just be careful with your multiplying out. You can see that I've repaired something that's there. Sometimes that happens, but as long as you catch it as you're working along, that's great. We've got a process to follow. Just follow that process as you go along, and things should unravel and give you your answer using the substitution method. I'll move on to elimination method probably next video, and we'll have a look at how that works out, and then you can decide which one works best for you. Okay, so wishing you all the best with your National 5, and cheers.